Titus Oates, also called Titus the Liar, was an English perjurer who fabricated the Popish Plot, a supposed Catholic conspiracy to kill King Charles II. Early life. Titus Oates was born at Oakham in Rutland. His father Samuel, a graduate of Corpus Christi College, Cambridge, was a minister who moved between the Church of England and the Baptists. He became a Baptist during the Puritan Revolution, rejoining the established church at the Restoration, and was rector of All Saints' Church at Hastings. Oates was educated at Merchant Taylors' School and other schools. At Cambridge University, he entered Gonville and Caius College in 1667 but transferred to St. John's College in 1669. He left later the same year without a degree. A less than astute student, he was regarded by his tutor as the great dunce. While at Cambridge, he also gained a reputation for homosexuality and a canting fanatical way. By falsely claiming to have a degree, he gained a license to preach from the Bishop of London. On the 29th of May 1670 he was ordained as a priest of the Church of England. He was vicar of the parish of Bobing in Kent, 1673–74, and then curate to his father at All Saints, Hastings. During this time Oates accused a schoolmaster in Hastings of sodomy with one of his pupils, hoping to get the schoolmaster's post. However, the charge was shown to be false and Oates himself was soon facing charges of perjury, but he escaped jail and fled to London. In 1675 he was appointed as a chaplain of the ship Adventurer in the Royal Navy. Oates visited Tangier with his ship, but was soon accused of buggery, which was a capital offence and spared only because of his clergyman's status. He was dismissed from the Navy in 1676. In August 1676, Oates was arrested in London and returned to Hastings to face trial for his outstanding perjury charges, but he escaped a second time and returned to London. With the help of the actor Matthew Medburn, he joined the household of the Catholic Henry Howard, 7th Duke of Norfolk, as an Anglican chaplain to those members of Howard's household who were Protestants. Although Oates was admired for his preaching, he soon lost this position. On Ash Wednesday in 1677 Oates was received into the Catholic Church. Oddly, at the same time he agreed to co-author a series of anti-Catholic pamphlets with Israel Tong, whom he had met through his father Samuel, who had once more reverted to the Baptist doctrine. He is described by John Dryden in Absalom and Achitophel thus: contact with the Jesuits. Oates was involved with the Jesuit houses of St. Omer in France and the Royal English College at Valladolid in Spain. Oates was admitted to the course in Valladolid by the support of Richard Strange, despite a lack of basic competence in Latin. He later claimed, falsely, that he had become a Catholic Doctor of Divinity. Thomas Whitbread took a much firmer line with Oates than had Strange and, in June 1678, expelled him from St. Omer. When he returned to London, he rekindled his friendship with Israel Tong. Oates explained that he had pretended to become a Catholic to learn about the secrets of the Jesuits and that, before leaving, he had heard about a planned Jesuit meeting in London. Fabricating the Popish Plot. Oates and Tong wrote a lengthy manuscript that accused the Catholic Church authorities in England of approving an assassination of Charles II. The Jesuits were supposedly to carry out the task. In August 1678, King Charles was warned of this alleged plot against his life by the chemist Christopher Kirby, and later by Tong. Charles was unimpressed, but handed the matter over to one of his ministers, Thomas Osborne, Earl of Danby. Danby was more willing to listen and was introduced to Oates by Tong. The King's Privy Council questioned Oates. On the 28th of September, Oates made 43 allegations against various members of Catholic religious orders, including 541 Jesuits, and numerous Catholic nobles. He accused Sir George Wakeman, Queen Catherine of Braganza's physician, and Edward Coleman, the secretary to Mary of Modena, Duchess of York, of planning to assassinate Charles. Although Oates may have selected the names randomly or with the help of the Earl of Danby, Coleman was found to have corresponded with a French Jesuit who was confessor to Louis XIV, which was enough to condemn him. Wakeman was later acquitted. Despite Oates' unsavory reputation, his confident performance and superb memory made a surprisingly good impression on the council. When he named at a glance the alleged authors of 5 letters supposedly written by leading Jesuits, the council were amazed. His Kenyan remarks, "It is surprising that it did not occur to the council how easy this would be if Oates had written them all himself." Others Oates accused included Dr. William Fogarty, Archbishop Peter Talbot of Dublin, Samuel Pepys MP, and John Bellasis, 1st Baron Bellasis. With the help of Danby, the list grew to 81 accusations. Oates was given a squad of soldiers and he began to round up Jesuits, including those who had helped him in the past. On the 6th of September 1678, Oates and Tongi had approached an Anglican magistrate, Sir Edmund Berry Godfrey, and had sworn an affidavit before him detailing their accusations. On the 12th of October, Godfrey disappeared, and 5 days later his dead body was found in a ditch at Primrose Hill. He had been strangled and run through with his own sword. Oates subsequently exploited this incident to launch a public campaign against the Papists, and alleged that the murder of Godfrey had been the work of the Jesuits. On the 24th of November 1678, Oates claimed the Queen was working with the King's physician to poison the King. Oates enlisted the aid of Captain William Bedloe, who was ready to say anything for money. The King personally interrogated Oates, caught him out in a number of inaccuracies and lies, and ordered his arrest. However, a few days later, with the threat of a constitutional crisis, Parliament forced the release of Oates, who soon received a state apartment in Whitehall and an annual allowance of £1,200. Oates was heaped with praise. He asked the College of Arms to check his lineage and produce a coat of arms for him, and subsequently received the arms of a family that had died out. Rumors surfaced that Oates was to be married to a daughter of Anthony Ashley Cooper, 1st Earl of Shaftesbury. After nearly 3 years and the execution of at least 15 innocent men, opinion began to turn against Oates. The last high-profile victim of the climate of suspicion was Oliver Plunkett, Roman Catholic Archbishop of Armagh, who was executed on the 1st of July 1681. William Scroggs, the Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, began to declare more people innocent, as he had done in the Wakeman trial, and a backlash against Oates and his Whig supporters took place. Aftermath. On the 31st of August 1681, Oates was told to leave his apartments in Whitehall, but he remained undeterred and even denounced the King and his Catholic brother, the Duke of York. He was arrested for sedition, sentenced to a fine of £100,000 and thrown into prison. When the Duke of York acceded to the throne in 1685 as James II, he had Oates retried, convicted and sentenced for perjury, stripped of clerical dress, imprisoned for life, and to be whipped through the streets of London 5 days a year for the remainder of his life. Oates was taken from his cell wearing a hat with the text Titus Oates, convicted upon full evidence of 2 horrid perjuries, and put into the pillory at the gate of Westminster Hall, where passers-by pelted him with eggs. The next day he was pilloried in London, and the third day was stripped, tied to a cart, and whipped from Aldgate to Newgate. The next day, the whipping resumed. The presiding judge was Judge Jeffreys, who stated that Oates was a shame to mankind. So severe were the penalties that it has been suggested that the aim was to kill Oates by ill-treatment. As Jeffreys and his colleagues openly regretted that they could not impose the death penalty in a case of perjury, Oates spent the next 3 years in prison. In 1689, upon the accession of the Protestant William of Orange and Mary, he was pardoned and granted a pension of £260 a year, but his reputation did not recover. The pension was later suspended, but in 1698 was restored and increased to £300 a year. Oates died on 13th of July 1705, by then an obscure and largely forgotten figure.